ഈശോ മിശിഹായ്ക്ക് സ്തുതിയായിരിക്കട്ടെ. സ്നേഹബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട അച്ഛന്മാരെ, സിസ്റ്റേഴ്സ്, ടീച്ചേഴ്സ്, ആനിമേറ്റേഴ്സ്, പ്രിയ കുഞ്ഞു മിഷണറിമാരെ, എല്ലാ വർഷവും നമ്മൾ നടത്തുന്ന പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റി ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് ആൻഡ് സ്റ്റഡി ടെക്നിക് എന്ന പ്രോഗ്രാം ഈ വർഷം കോവിഡ് മൂലം നമ്മൾ ഓൺലൈനിലൂടെയാണ് നടത്തുന്നത്. നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടി സെഷനുകൾ നയിക്കുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ എല്ലാം പ്രിയങ്കരനായ സെബാസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഇടയന്ത്രത്ത് പിതാവും സ്റ്റഡി ടെക്നിക് പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റി ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് എന്ന വിഷയത്തിൽ പ്രാവീണ്യമുള്ള ജെയ്സ് ടീച്ചറുമാണ്. ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിന് തുടക്കം കുറിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പ്രയർ സോങ് ബൈ മേരി മാത ചർച്ച് വിജയനഗർ ടീം.
സച്ചിദാനന്ദ രൂപനേ സസ്നേഹ കേദാരമേ, സത്തായ മാർഗം തെളിച്ചിടുക സത്യസ്വരൂപാ വിഭോ നീ. സച്ചിദാനന്ദ രൂപനേ സസ്നേഹ കേദാരമേ, സത്തായ മാർഗം തെളിച്ചിടുക സത്യസ്വരൂപാ വിഭോ നീ. സച്ചിദാനന്ദ രൂപനേ ജീവിത നൗക തുഴഞ്ഞിടാനായി ദൈവാവരമരുളൂ. ജീവിത നൗക തുഴഞ്ഞിടാനായി ദൈവാവരമരുളൂ. ഭുവനൈക ശാന്തിതൻ പൂന്തെന്നൽ വീശാൻ, ഭുവനൈക ശാന്തിതൻ പൂന്തെന്നൽ വീശാൻ, ഭുവനേശ്വരാ കൈതൊഴാം നീ. സച്ചിദാനന്ദ രൂപനേ സസ്നേഹ കേദാരമേ, സത്തായ മാർഗം തെളിച്ചിടുക സത്യസ്വരൂപാ വിഭോ നീ. സച്ചിദാനന്ദ രൂപനേ.
പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റി ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് ആൻഡ് സ്റ്റഡി ടെക്നിക്, വൊക്കേഷൻ പ്രൊമോഷൻ എന്ന വിഷയങ്ങളെ കുറിച്ച് നമ്മുടെ 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സിലുള്ള കുഞ്ഞു മിഷണറിമാർക്ക് മിഷൻ ലീഗ് മണ്ഡ്യ രൂപത നടത്തുന്ന പ്രോഗ്രാമിലേക്ക് ഏവരെയും സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുവാൻ നമ്മുടെ എല്ലാം പ്രിയങ്കരനായ മണ്ഡ്യ രൂപത മിഷൻ ലീഗ് ഡയറക്ടർ ബെന്നി അച്ഛനെ സ്നേഹത്തോടെ ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു.
ഈശ്വരിക്കട്ടെ. സ്നേഹബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട അഭിമന്യ സെബാസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഇടയന്ത്രത്ത് പിതാവേ, മണ്ഡ്യ രൂപതയുടെ മിഷൻ ലീഗ് ഭാരവാഹികളായിട്ടുള്ള എല്ലാ മതബോധന അധ്യാപകരെ, മിഷൻ ലീഗ് പ്രവർത്തകരെ, മിഷണറിമാരായ കുഞ്ഞുമക്കളെ, ഇന്നേ ദിവസം നമ്മുടെ സെഷൻ നയിക്കുവാനായിട്ട് എത്തിയിരിക്കുന്ന ജെയ്സി ജോർജ് ടീച്ചറെ, നമ്മളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഇന്ന് കോവിഡിന്റെ കാലഘട്ടത്തില് പല സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്തു വരുന്ന ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം ഇത് തന്നെ ആയിരിക്കാം വർഷങ്ങൾക്ക് മുമ്പ് പ്രവാചക ശബ്ദത്തില് ലിയോ 13 മാർപ്പാപ്പ പറഞ്ഞത്, ഭാരതമേ നിൻ രക്ഷ നിൻ മക്കളിൽ. ഭാരതത്തിന്റെ മക്കൾ തന്നെ വിജയത്തിലേക്ക് എത്തണമെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ സന്യാസ പൗരോഹിത്യ മിഷണറി പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളൊക്കെ വിജയകരമാകണമെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഭാരതത്തിന്റെ മക്കള് സുശക്തരാകണം. ഇന്നിവിടെ കൂടിയിരിക്കുന്നത് നമുക്കറിയാം, നമ്മുടെ കുഞ്ഞുമക്കൾക്ക്, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സിലെ കുഞ്ഞുമക്കൾക്ക് സ്റ്റഡി ടെക്നിക്സിന്റെ വിവിധ രൂപങ്ങളും ഭാവങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കുവാനായിട്ട് എത്തിയിരിക്കുന്ന ടീച്ചറെയും വൊക്കേഷൻ പ്രൊമോഷനെ കുറിച്ച് പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പിതാവിൻ്റെ അനുഭവങ്ങൾ പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുവാൻ എത്തിയിരിക്കുന്ന പിതാവിനെയും ഈ സെഷൻ പങ്കെടുക്കുവാനെത്തിയിരിക്കുന്ന കുഞ്ഞു മിഷണറിമാരായ മക്കളെയും സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുക എന്നതാണ് എൻ്റെ കടമ. ആദ്യമേ തന്നെ അഭിമന്യ പിതാവിൻ്റെ ദൈവവിളിയെക്കുറിച്ച് നമ്മളോട് സംസാരിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പിതാവിന് ഈ സെഷനിലേക്ക് ഏറ്റവും സ്നേഹത്തോടെ മണ്ഡ്യ മിഷൻ ലീഗിന്റെ പേരിൽ ഹാർദവമായ സ്വാഗതം ആശംസിക്കുന്നു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടി സെഷൻ നയിക്കുവാനായിട്ട് എത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത് ജെയ്സി ജോർജ് ടീച്ചറാണ്. ടീച്ചറ് നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഈ കോവിഡ് കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഇന്റർനെറ്റും മറ്റുമൊക്കെ ഉപയോഗപ്രദമാക്കിക്കൊണ്ട് എങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് ഉന്നതമായ വിജയം നേടിയെടുക്കാം എന്നതിനെ കുറിച്ചൊക്കെ ഭൗതികമായിട്ടുള്ള ആധ്യാത്മികമായിട്ടുള്ള വളർച്ചയ്ക്കൊക്കെ ഉതകുന്ന വിധത്തിൽ നമ്മുടെ പഠനത്തെ സുഖകരമാക്കുവാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള മാർഗങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞു തരുവാനായിട്ട് ഇവിടെ എത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ജെയ്സി ടീച്ചറെ മണ്ഡ്യ മിഷൻ ലീഗിന്റെ പേരിൽ ഏറ്റവും സ്നേഹത്തോടെ ഈ സെഷനിലേക്ക് ഹാർദവുമായി സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യും. ഇനി ഇന്നത്തെ ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം മനോഹരമാക്കുവാൻ വേണ്ടി ഓരോ മിഷൻ ലീഗിന്റെ യൂണിറ്റിനെയും സുശക്തമാക്കിയിരിക്കുന്നത് അവിടുത്തെ ഡയറക്ടർ അച്ഛനും അവിടുത്തെ കാറ്റഗിസം ടീച്ചേഴ്സും മിഷൻ ലീഗ് ഭാരവാഹികളുമാണ്. എല്ലാ ഇടവകയിലും പെട്ട നമ്മുടെ മണ്ഡ്യ രൂപതയിലെ എല്ലാ മിഷൻ ലീഗ് പ്രവർത്തകരെയും ഏറെ സ്നേഹത്തോടെ ഈ സ്റ്റഡി ടെക്നിക്സ് സെഷനിലേക്ക് സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇന്നത്തെ ദിവസം മനോഹരമാക്കുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സിൽ പഠിക്കുന്ന വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളായിട്ടുള്ള കുഞ്ഞു മിഷണറിമാരാണ്. കുഞ്ഞു മിഷണറിമാരായ കുഞ്ഞുമക്കളെ, നിങ്ങളെ ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉപകാരപ്രദമാകട്ടെ. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പിതാവ് നമുക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു തരുന്ന ദൈവവിളിയുടെ പ്രോത്സാഹനം കൂടി തന്നെയാണ് ഇത്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പുതിയ പ്രചോദനവും പുതിയ കണ്ടുപിടുത്തങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ ഇതിലൂടെ സാധ്യമാകട്ടെ എന്ന് ആശംസിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഈ സെഷനിലേക്ക് 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സിലെ എല്ലാ കുഞ്ഞുമക്കളെയും ഏറെ സ്നേഹത്തോടെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഇനി ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിന്റെ വിജയത്തിന് ഇതിന്റെ പിന്നിൽ പ്രവർത്തിച്ച ടെക്നിക്കൽ സഹായം നൽകിയിട്ടുള്ള എല്ലാവരെയും ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം വിജയമാക്കുവാൻ വേണ്ടി പരിശ്രമിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാ ഇടവകയെയും ഏറെ സ്നേഹത്തോടെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി.
താങ്ക് യു ബെന്നി അച്ഛ. അടുത്തതായി ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം തിരിതെളിച്ചതുകൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യുവാനായി മിഷൻ ലീഗ് രൂപത ഭാരവാഹികളെ ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു. जय जय मिशन लीग,
जय जय मिशन लीग,
अप मिशन लीग,
अप मिशन लीग,
जय जय मिशन लीग,
जय जय मिशन लीग,
अप मिशन लीग,
अप मिशन लीग,
പാരട്ടങ്ങനെ പാരട്ടെ,
പാരട്ടങ്ങനെ പാരട്ടെ,
ചെമ്മഞ്ഞക്കൊടി പാരട്ടെ,
ചെമ്മഞ്ഞക്കൊടി പാരട്ടെ,
വളരട്ടങ്ങനെ വളരട്ടെ,
വളരട്ടങ്ങനെ വളരട്ടെ,
മിഷൻ ലീഗ് വളരട്ടെ,
മിഷൻ ലീഗ് വളരട്ടെ,
ജയ് ജയ് മിഷൻ ലീഗ്,
ജയ് ജയ് മിഷൻ ലീഗ്,
അപ്പ് മിഷൻ ലീഗ്,
അപ്പ് മിഷൻ ലീഗ്,
ജയ് ജയ് മിഷൻ ലീഗ്,
ജയ് ജയ് മിഷൻ ലീഗ്.
പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റി ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് ആൻഡ് സ്റ്റഡി ടെക്നിക് എന്ന വിഷയത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് സെഷൻ നയിക്കുന്നത് പ്രിയ ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ജെയ്സി ടീച്ചറാണ്. ജെയ്സി ടീച്ചർ കഴിഞ്ഞ 4 വർഷമായി CML മണ്ഡ്യ ഡയസിസുമായി ഏറെ ബന്ധമുള്ള ഒരു ടീച്ചറാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ 4 വർഷങ്ങളിലെ സെഷൻ ടീച്ചർ തന്നെയാണ് നയിച്ചത്. ടീച്ചറിന്റെ ഈ വിഷയത്തിലുള്ള പ്രാവീണ്യം നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികൾക്കെല്ലാം വളരെ പ്രചോദനകരമാകും എന്നതിൽ ഒരു സംശയവുമില്ല. ജെയ്സി ടീച്ചറിനെ ഈ സെഷൻസ് നയിക്കുവാൻ ഏറെ സ്നേഹത്തോടെ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു.
A very good day to all of you. My name is JC George, and I welcome each and every one of you to this online session on study skills and some tips that I would be sharing with you during these times that will help you cope with your studies and prepare yourselves for your upcoming examinations. This program is called Learning Never Stops. Yes, learning never stops. Come COVID or anything that challenges us, we are lifelong learners. We would continue to learn. Every day is a learning, whether we go to school or not. Whatever we do around us is always a new learning for us. I would just like to quote a very famous, a quote by a very famous person, Alvin Toffler, who says, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn." I think this is very relevant to these times when everything around us seems to be changing so fast. Many of us have this fear and uncertainty that we are not able to cope. But I think this is the time for us to unlearn a lot of things. Maybe we are so used to doing certain things, but this is a time that has helped us reflect and think as to what are some of the things we need to change, what are some of the things we need to get rid of, what are some of the things that we need to bring in new to our lives so that we are going to become better at what we are. Of course, change is something that is difficult and not, welcome at all. But I think with all the technology that we have around us and the opportunities that we have, I'm definitely focusing on the positive side of this pandemic, and I'm sure that we will all sail through this together, right? Yes, just as a ship is in the middle of a storm, I'm sure each one of us, wherever we are, and it's not that anybody is exceptional or anybody is not a part of this whole problem that we are facing. But I think together we'll sail through this, yes, and we'll face the storms and we'll come out of this as stronger individuals. So what I would like to tell you before I start the session is to focus on the positives. Yes, focus on the positives. Every ship that sails through the seas faces storms, but there is always the brighter side to things, right? And just as the lighthouse gives light to lost ships, we have a hope, and our greatest hope is that we have a God who is in control of everything in our lives. Yes, and definitely it's not going to be like this way forever. Wars have come. We've had world wars. We've had greater pandemics. We've had Spanish flu. We've been reading about it. We've had earthquakes. We've had calamities. We've had floods. We've had all kinds of happenings around us. But one thing is for certain, that mankind, humanity, and the spirit of humankind will continue. And definitely there will be changes. There will be a loss, but out of it, there is going to be a lot of good that is going to come out. So let's be hopeful. And I think what we need right now is to be a little patient. And I'm sure we'll all come out of this together. Yes. I would like you to take a minute and just focus right now, wherever you are, whichever part of the city or place that you're sitting in right now. Take a minute. And, wherever you are, I can't see you, but that's okay. I want you to just close your eyes and focus on your blessings. Currently, when the situation around is so negative and so uncertain and so depressing for some of us, I just want you to focus on our blessings at this moment. And maybe in your mind, just count your blessings 1 to 5. Right now, what do you feel thankful for? What do you feel blessed about? What are you grateful for? And I'm sure there will be so many things that we can start counting and thanking God for. And let's begin our session with a time of thanksgiving. So just take a minute while you just reflect on what are your blessings and what are the few things that you're grateful for currently at this moment. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of things that we are thankful for, the very air that we breathe, and currently the very fact that we are alive. Yes. And I'm sure in many of our homes, there are people who are not keeping all right. But I think at the end of it is to take care of yourself and to do good to others, even through those calamities and times of difficulties, to stick together as a family, to be together, to be hopeful and to be patient. And I'm sure the other bigger thing that is lingering in all your minds right now is you're in the 10th standard, right? Most of you are giving, or all of you are giving your board exams this year. And I think that would be the fear inside you. How am I going to handle it? How am I going to attempt it? How do I go about it? But I think things are slowly falling in place. And as we all see that, the shift is already happening. And it's just that little discomfort each one of us might feel when we are moving from what we are so used to doing to something that is new and different. But it's just a matter of time. But whatever you do, I think your focus should be on your goal. What is it that you want? 10th standard is a very important milestone in everybody's life. I have two boys. My older son is in the 12th standard and my younger one's in the 8th standard. I remember a year ago when he finished his 10th, or just before his 10th, I would say about 2 years ago, when my son, just before he was attempting his 10th, he looked like a very, very nervous person, because, 10th is a very important milestone in all our lives. And so he thought that was the biggest test of his life. And he gave his exams and he got his results. And when he started his 11th standard classes, he comes home and tells me one day, Amma, actually 10th was a cakewalk. So please understand that there are so many other milestones in our life and it's just the beginning. So don't put undue pressure on yourself. Everything will happen in its time. Everything will take care of itself. But you need to be focused. You need to give your best and you need to keep yourself motivated, whatever happens around you. All right. So don't worry. It is everybody would feel the stress and pressure, but I'm sure your family, your teachers are all supportive of you and you don't have to take undue stress. So what does this session include? Basically, I'm going to cover these areas. First and foremost, why do we study? What is the need for studying? You might have this question like, there are kids who don't study and do well in life, right? So we'll answer some of those questions. Who are super students? We'll see who are super students and who are the ones who excel. How do you stay positive, especially during these times? How to remain positive and keep your mind stress-free. A little bit on time management. How do you prioritize your time? How do you prioritize your tasks? We'll also be looking at some of the study techniques that I will be sharing with you. Few things that you can keep in mind while you're doing your everyday study. Also, very important and very meaningful right now is what are some study tips, especially during your stay at home? Because all this time you've been going to school, you've been stepping out of your home, you've been meeting people, you've been interacting with friends, but suddenly everything seems to be so closed. Suddenly everything seems to have come to a sudden standstill, right? But life has to go on, as we said, right? So what are some of the tips that you can follow during your stay at home? And of course, at the time of examination, what are some of the tips that you can keep in mind? Now, if you can see the slide, it says, if you develop steady skills, you can improve your study skills. There's a connect there, steady and study, all right? If you are steady in whatever you're doing, you can accomplish whatever you're dreaming of. You can accomplish your dreams, you can reach your goals, and you can excel in whatever you do, all right? So what does this being steady mean? Being steady is nothing but being consistent, being disciplined, being focused. There are a whole lot of things, right? It doesn't only mean hardworking or putting in a lot of time to study. That's not what it means. Steady is consistency in whatever you're doing, a kind of a discipline, all right? When you do that little by little, every day, over a period of time, you are going to excel yourself, all right? And the other thing that you need to keep in mind is never ever compare yourself. You are unique just the way you are. You are valuable just the way you are. You're wonderfully made just the way you are. The minute you compare yourself with somebody, that's when you lose your confidence. All you have to do is just focus on yourself. Look at yourself, believe in yourself, look at your strength, all right, and work on your strength. At the same time, I'm not saying you shouldn't focus on your weaknesses or weak areas. Those are all areas for improvement. We all have weaknesses. I have my own weakness. My children have their own weakness. Your parents have their own weakness. But never mind, if you focus too much on that, the negatives, you would become sucked into that frame of mind. Rather than that, you should focus on the positives. What are your strengths? What are you good at? How can you build on what you're already good at? That should be your starting point, all right? So that's what I meant to say, that if you develop steady skills, you definitely improve your study skills. Why should we study? Big question, right? Why should we study? All right. I'm reminded, I just want to share a very personal story. My father was not educated, but he was very hardworking, and he went ahead and got a very nice job for himself, and he was a very successful person, right? Many years later, he had an opportunity for a job to go abroad, all right? And I still remember he came home sad one day, and I heard him telling my mother, I wish I had studied. I wish I had not wasted those opportunities that I had. And that was one day he regretted not having been educated, right? But to me, he's my role model today. Without his education, he was very successful in life, right? But there will be times, there will be opportunities, especially during these times when study is all that matters. If you want a job, the first thing they look at is qualification. Otherwise, okay, if you don't have the qualification or the education, the next thing they look at is how skilled you are, all right? But not everybody looks at it the way. So education is the foundation for all of us. Education is necessary. Education makes people, education makes citizens, education makes a society, right? So you need to have an education to reach ahead in life, and that is very, very necessary. And with the kind of competition around, let me not deny that the competition is very high around us. In this competitive world, you need to be not one step, you need to be a few steps ahead of the rest for people to recognize you, for you to land a job, even to get admission into a good college. You must be ahead of the rest. Therefore, we need to study. Let's just accept it. We need to study. We need to do well, we need to excel if we want to get into the best institutes. You can look at your own, your own future and visualize which is the college that you would like to get into. And I'm sure you have a few of those top colleges in mind, whether it's for arts, science, commerce, whatever stream that you're looking at. We all have a vision of getting into the best college. But do you know that these best colleges also have a cutoff? So it's something that we need to really put an effort into. Otherwise, of course, we will have an education, we will end up getting a degree, but not what you dreamt of and not what you were looking for, right? So all that you have to do is invest your time little bit every day, be focused, have a plan, have some vision in your mind, and I'm sure the rest will fall in place. That is why we say that study is important. Also remember that education must be pursued for knowledge, right? Why do we study? We study because we get knowledge, and knowledge is very, very critical and very important for our growth. Education also builds up your character and refines your personality. Education is important for character formation. We always have this thing that, if you go to a good school, you come out with a strong personality or a sound character. What is this character? Character is nothing but something which reflects who we are, right? You may have all the education, all the qualification in the world, but if you're not, if your character is not in place, I think that's where you miss the line, right? You miss to show your presence in the world, right? So character is something which is so innate, which is so much a part of us, which is more important, if you ask me, to be the foundation of your life. And on that, you build your education and skills and other things, right? So very, very important that we focus on who we are and work towards becoming better at what we are, all right? So education for knowledge, education to build your character. And I'm sure we all know that certain schools give a lot of emphasis on character formation, right? They're so strict, they're so concerned about discipline, and they invest a lot of time to develop the character of the students, right? So that is very, very important. Your character and as well as your personality, how you carry yourself also matters. Who is a super student? Now, if you look at this picture here, it's like a superhero, right? We have all these superheroes in our life. So a super student, if I ask some of you, you might say the toppers in your class. If you ask me, I'm a teacher myself, I teach, but to me, a super student is not only the topper in class, but to me, there are a whole lot of others who are good in other things, right? You may not be the topper, but you're very focused. You may not be the topper, but your character, there's something about you which stands out. You may not be the topper in class, but you're still, you have a lot of other traits in yourself that make you different from the others. You may not be the topper, but you're very talented in singing or music or something. You're a super student too, right? So a super student is one who's able to balance both academics on one side and co-curricular on the other. And of course, as I said, the root of all this is your character, which is very, very important. So a super student is one who is responsible. Any task that is given, they take responsibility for it. Sometimes, even if you're not given the task, you take initiative, you are proactive, you go and do the work, you ask for work, whatever it is, it shows that you're very, very responsible. And a teacher can rely on you. Whatever job is given, you do it faithfully, sincerely, and that makes you a responsible person. A super student is also one who's committed. Commitment is something that you tell yourself and the effort that you put into that work, right? So commitment shows your sincerity towards something. It shows you as a person that you are committed, you are working for that cause, and you are involved in that. So responsible, commitment, self-starters. Nobody has to tell you what to do. As a self-starter, a super student is one who takes the initiative by himself or herself and starts moving things, right? Nobody would wait for you to get up and stretch out and do something, right? A self-starter is one who sees or identifies the need around them and takes action or takes responsibility to do something and bring about a change. So be a self-starter wherever you are. Whatever we share and whatever we discuss in this session, let's not only focus on your 10 standard or only on this year of your life. This is going to help you for the rest of your life. Wherever you go as a student, keep these things in mind, right? When you start college or when you go for your higher studies to another school, this would stay the same. Whether the pandemic comes and goes, these things will never change, right? These are certain fundamentals that we have to keep in mind. A super student is also a critical thinker. Now, most companies these days are looking for very, very, specific skills. Earlier, they were like, okay, somebody who has this skill, that skill, technical skill. Of course, as part of your job, you're required. But these days, companies are actually looking for very, very deep skills. One of them is what we call as critical thinkers. They want people who can critically think, who can analyze things. If in a problem, how do they come out of it? How can they critically look at a problem or a situation and find a solution to it? So they're looking for critical thinkers. They're also looking for creative people, right? So in a job, how creative can you get? How different can you be? Also, they're also looking at something called as collaboration. How well do you work with each other? It's not about working in isolation, but working along with others, teamwork, collaboration. So one of the most important skills, as we say, the 21st century skills we talk about is critical thinking skills. All right. Yeah. So also independent learners. A super student is an independent learner, which means that an extension from what we said earlier, self-starter, right? An independent learner takes initiative himself or herself to learn something. I have a question for you, although I can't hear your answers. I'm sure it will help you think. During this lockdown period or during these last few months from, let's say, March, when we all went into lockdown till now, we haven't been going to school, we've just been sitting at home. I want to ask, how many of you have learned a new skill? How many of you have taken to your digital whatever technology or whatever it is, whether even if it's not digital, maybe some of you sitting at home have developed an interest and liking towards a particular thing. So these are what we mean by independent learners. Your teacher never asked you to try that out. Your parents never asked or insisted you to try it out, but it was of your own interest and initiative. Students, please use this time constructively. As I said, everything is available at the tip of your fingers, right? On your mobile or laptop or with the internet and Wi-Fi access at home. I'm sure there are so many things you can learn. And I know for sure that, sitting at home, people have started, if you look at advanced level things, coding is one thing they've all gotten into. Many of them have gotten into baking. And I know a few of, children who are really young, school-going children, making small bakery items like cakes and other things and slowly selling it out. Why not? That brings out a lot of skills inside you, right? So baking, cooking, maybe some of you are, trying out artwork or blogging or poetry or whatever it is, music, right? Maybe that guitar was lying idle in your house all these years, but now lockdown has helped you pick that up and start strumming a few, strings, and you see that you really love it, right? So please learn something and get yourself, to learn a new task or a skill during this time. So we say independent learners, all right? And also a super student is one who's eager and enthusiastic, always positive, always excited to do things, right? So that makes you a super student. Also somebody who's curious. A super student is always interested to know why. I always say it's called the 5 W's and 1 H. And I'm sure some of you know what it is. The 5 W's and 1 H. Always have a questioning mind. Always have a thinking mind. Look around you. Anything that you see around you and ask yourself these 5 questions. First is, what is it? All right. What? Next is, why? Who? Who invented it or who made it or whatever, right? Why, what, who, where, all right? And when, all right? Where and when. Yes. Many times, as you can see in this slide, we call it the iceberg illusion. What people see is the success story. Your 90 plus or your 95 plus, all right? And that's what most people see. You're successful because of your marks. You're successful because of certain things. But no, there's so much that people don't see. And that is where your soul, your breath and your effort lies, right? And what is this under the water that people don't see? That's what we say, that not all successful people, come straight like a, you jump in, you don't jump into success. It's a day by day, step by step, every sweat and blood matters, all right? And there is so much that goes in to make you a successful person in whatever field that you are in. It can be your persistence. Sometimes failures lead to success. We all know, right? We've all heard that a failure is a stepping stone to success. Failing forward. A failure will help you move ahead, move forward. Sacrifices. So remember that your education or getting a qualification or getting those good grades also involves a lot of sacrifice. You may have to let go a lot of things, not forever, at least for the moment, and that is important for your success. There will be disappointments, there will be sad times, there will be down times, right? But you have to bounce back. You have to get back on your feet and keep moving ahead. There should be discipline, setting yourself a specific time for working or for studying, whatever, or for your extracurricular or whatever. Have a certain discipline in your life. Of course, nothing comes easy, as I said. There is hard work, there is effort that has to go in. And dedication. We already discussed that. Commitment, dedication to what you're doing, and be focused on what you want. This is what people don't see, right? But I think it's very important that this is a part of us and this should go into us to make us a success story, right? Also, moving on, learning is not filling the bucket. Many students think 10 standard, important year in my life, I have to study, I have to finish this, I have to complete this, they only go by the numbers. They don't go by the quality, or they don't go by the content, right? That's very, very, that's not a right approach. So if you can see the picture, it's a bucket and you're filling it up with what? You need to fill it up with knowledge, fill it up with your strengths and fill it up with all the goodies, right? So learning is not just filling the bucket with too many things, right? And it becomes too heavy to carry, but it's like igniting a flame. It's like igniting a fire, right? Like a torch, which gives light to everybody, which can be shown all around, which is going to illuminate, which is going to, spread out, and which is not going to be in one zone. There's this thing that we all know. You step into a dark room, you'll hit somewhere or you'll trip on something and you'll fall. But you bring a small little candle, and the light from that little candle illuminates the room, and it gives you the confidence. It gives you the confidence to move confidently in the room from one place to the other, right? So very, very important that we need to light the fire. Education is about lighting fire. Learning is about lighting fire, and not just about filling the bucket. All right. Then this is very interesting. How do you eat a roti? Or another question, how do you normally eat a pizza? Do you buy a pizza or make a pizza and stuff the entire thing into your mouth? Or let's say an aloo paratha or whatever it is. Do you buy or take that thing from your plate and stuff the entire thing in your mouth? No. Especially if it's something you love, you would never ever stuff it into your mouth. What would you do? You would take one, enjoy it, take another bit, enjoy it, take another bit, enjoy, and then you would be so satisfied and enjoy every bite that you take, right? Our study should also be like that. Not about finishing the entire thing for the sake of finishing. You won't enjoy it. You'll feel stuffed, you'll feel choked, you'll feel pukish. You're not going to have a good time after that, right? But it's about taking those little pieces, little chunks, having it with what is necessary. What is unnecessary, don't even have it on your plate. What is required, you fill your plate, have it one by one, little by little, and you're going to have an enjoyable meal, right? So study is something that you should look at it in that way. Don't think of it, I know a lot of you would be cursing and, having this mind that, oh no, I don't like this subject, I don't want to study, I don't want to do anything with it. But it's not that. If you actually get down to doing it little by little, you'll be able to complete it, you'll be able to enjoy it, you'll be able to relish it, and definitely you're going to be happy at the end of it. So there's this thing that I say, that students must have a spicy life or spiced up life. What is this spiced up life? Everybody, all right? We must have we must focus on 5 areas of our life. I want to start with spiritual, all right? It's very, very important. To me, every human being has 5 areas of their personality, as we call it, or their, we call it the 5 dimensions of the human personality, all right? It's called the spiritual. I'll just go in order. Spiritual. P is the physical. I is the intellectual or the mind. C is communal or social. E is emotional, all right? We need to invest. We need to strongly invest in every area of our lives every day. Every day, spend a little time in each of these areas, and that is going to make you a healthy person, right? Now, what is this? To me, I personally believe, and I want all of us, or at least most of us, from your experience, that if you put your God, if you put our God, if you put God in the center of our life, everything else falls in place. All right. Of course, we may not always have a smooth ride. That's not guaranteed. But if you place God, which is spiritual, in the center of your life, your health will be all right. Of course, you'll have your fevers and ups and downs, all that. Yes, but still, you'll be physically healthy. Your mind would be at peace. Your social relationship with people will be good, and your emotions will be in control. So what I would like to tell you is, don't neglect any of these areas. You must take care of your physical self, which is, exercise, your body, keeping yourself physically healthy. You need to take care of your mind, that is the intellectual dimension. You need to build relationship with people around you, and also keep your emotions in check, your anger, your sadness. You have to have, you should be able to manage all these in your life. So that's what we mean by a spice life, all right? How would you like the rest of your life to be? Average or memorable? I'm sure all of us want it to be memorable, right? Now, if you want your life to be memorable, how different can you be? all right? So you have to do something different. Create a path for yourself that makes your life memorable for the rest of the years, right? Otherwise, you're just going to be like, as we call it, a photocopy. What's the difference between a photocopy and a masterpiece? A masterpiece is one of its kind, but a photocopy, hundreds and thousands, and you can print as many as you want duplicates, right? That's what we mean by photocopy. But a masterpiece is unique, one of its kind. So choose to be a masterpiece and not just a photocopy. All right. This is a story that most of us know about. An eagle, a baby eagle or eaglet that got mixed with group of chickens, all right, and the eagle grew up along with the chicks all its life thinking that it was a chicken. It never learned how to fly. It followed whatever the chicken did, looking around whatever the chicken did. And the hens and chicken always look down on the earth. They don't look up, they don't fly high, they always picking up worms and things, dirt from the ground and eating. So even the eagle started doing this till somebody discovered one fine day that this is not meant to be among the chickens on the ground. This bird is meant to fly and fly high. And that's when the eagle realized its true potential. Therefore, what I have to tell you is, don't be like a chicken with the rest of the crowd, right? Choose to be different, choose to be unique, choose to be strong and powerful, because that's what you're meant for. And everybody has potential in them. Everybody is gifted, just that we don't we don't realize it, and we don't plan on these things, right? So that's very, very important. So get out of your comfort zone right now and move into a courage zone, which requires, as I said, remember the iceberg slide that I showed you? It requires a lot of sacrifices and pain, hard work and everything, but that will help you move from your comfort zone to your courage zone. All right. How do we stay positive? Okay. There's so many ways in which we can stay positive. One is keeping yourself active or being involved with things that you like doing. Spending time with people you love hanging around with. I know this is a time that you cannot meet your friends, but it's okay. Once in a while, calling them, chatting with them will definitely help you, right? Staying positive is very, very important. Very important thing that I would also like to stress here is physical exercises at this point of time. Keep your mind, keep your body active, right? Nobody will tell you to do this, do that, but you wrap up and, go do a few, push-ups, or take your ball and just, if you have a terrace or some ground outside, just step out and play, exercise, do some kind of a physical activity, which is very, very important, not only for your body, but also for your mind. All right. I would like to just stress on 7 rules to stay motivated to study or work during quarantine. All right. Especially during this time when you're sitting at home. What are some of the tips to keep in mind? There is a sudden shift, as we all know, that, from, classroom teaching to online teaching, classroom learning to online learning. There are a lot of challenges, but here are some things that you can keep in mind. One thing is, remember that quarantine is not a vacation or a holiday. Initially when the lockdown started, we were all excited. All of us, parents, children, all excited. Oh, we can sit at home. We don't have to go out. And, it's like when you're going to school, you wait for that one day when, the school will declare a holiday and you all are jumping up and down because you don't have to go to school. Well, initially when it started off, it was that kind of an excitement. But I must say, and I think we'll all admit that over the days, we realized that this is going to be a phase for a long time. This is going to be the new normal, as we call it. And we all started slowly resigning to the fact that we can't step out, right? So remember that quarantine is not a vacation anymore, right? Or a holiday. You have to get back to what you were doing. Life has to get back to where you were and how it was, right? So very important it is important that you get up and go to bed around the same time every day, whatever time you fix. Let's say you sleep at 10 in the night, or some of you will sit and study till 12:30. But every night, keep that timing. Around 10, you go to bed. Around 12:30, you go to bed. Don't get into this irregular sleep habits. One day you sleep at 10, the next day you sleep at 1 o'clock, the next day you sleep at 8 o'clock. That's going to affect your mind. So please stick to that a schedule where, you have a fixed time to sleep and fixed time to wake up. You decide what time that is. Also, every few minutes, take a break. Every hour, take a few minutes break. So let's say you have a class for about 1 hour, or you sit down to study for 1 hour. After 1 hour, take a 10-minute break, 10 to 15-minute break. Don't sit and continuously try to cram things. You will never learn, right? So take those breaks that are required, and longer time for rest and play. Let your academics be there, but you should also keep aside equally, if not more, time for other things. Example, rest and play. Rest, I mean here sleep. Rest is not sitting with your phone and again screen time. You need to give your eyes rest. You need to give your mind rest. Sleep is very important. Also play. Play is not video games or playing on the phone or anything. Playing is physical activities. If you, like I said earlier, if you can step out of your house, get some fresh air, or onto the terrace, anywhere, get involved in some kind of a physical activity. Very, very important. All right. This will relieve you of anxiety and stress and to help you stay productive. That's one thing. So what are some things that you can include? Wake up early. If you're not the waking up early kinds, never mind, wake up, but make sure that you have some time to go for a walk. If you can't go for a morning walk, at least evening, but remember, with your mask and other things on, keep time aside for academic. Yes, very important. During the mornings when you have your regular school hours, and later part of the day when you sit down to study or revise. Creative time, very important. Anything that you can do during that time. You can get into puzzles, painting, artwork, whatever you like doing. Lunch. Then we have, the little chores. Maybe you want to help your mother, or your, in your room, you want to just clear up some things, or help in the kitchen, or help in little bit of housework or something like that. Little time for that. Then you must have a quiet time. Now, quiet time can be reading. It can be a prayer time, listening to music, whatever it is. Okay, a little quiet time for yourself. Again, get some fresh air during the afternoon, right? Or in the evening, late evening. Some time for television, and of course bedtime and other things, right? So these are things that will help you and maintain the schedule that you can. Of course, the timing varies, but you must keep aside time for all these. Make work and study plans for the next day and the week ahead. We call it planning, right? I know many of us don't believe in this, but at least you must have in your mind what you want to do in the coming week. Example, to-do list. This week, I want to do this, okay? This is the most important thing that I need to do. Maybe you have an assignment to finish. Maybe you have a project to complete, something. So what is the most important thing? Prioritize. Then, of course, schedule tasks, all right? Most important, least important. Very urgent, less urgent. So you'll have an idea that by the end of the week, whether you're on track or whether you're like stressed out because you haven't done it, very important that you plan and schedule your things, right? Staying organized. So because of online sessions, please follow up on recorded classes. Most students don't do this. They think, online classes, when the teacher's there, my job is done. No, there are so many recorded lessons that can be played later on. So please invest a little bit of time to watch those recorded programs, classes, so that you'll have an idea what is being done and you'll have more clarity. Even when you have online classes, I keep insisting, keep a notebook next to you, a rough book or whatever. And whenever the teacher is saying scribble, write down, note down, jot down, and that will really help you when you go back to revise. So keep that in mind, keep a notebook next to you and write whenever the classes are going on. And those notes will be really helpful at the time of exam. Also remember, in your calendar, mark the important dates or certain links that you need to revisit, all right? This will help you. And you won't forget, maybe there's an assignment that has to be submitted. So keep track of those things, right? Then don't get into multitasking. We think we're very good doing this, doing that, everything together. But research has shown that only 2% of population can multitask, which means I don't think maybe one among the whole lot of us would fall into that, but otherwise our brain is not meant for multitasking. We are all meant for monotasking, and so research says that it's better to monotask. That means do one work at a time, give complete attention, finish and move to the next one. Many times we don't give justice to all. And what happens when you multitask is assignments take longer time. Let's say you're doing this assignment, that assignment, everything simultaneously, and then you're checking your Instagram in between or your WhatsApp, again you have to come and start all over again. Doesn't work that way. Focus on one thing at a time. And you're more likely to make mistakes when you multitask. And the other proven thing is that you'll remember less. When you multitask and do multiple things, your memory retention is much lesser. Then, very important is, some of us may have space constraints, but always have a fixed area to study. You know, if you have your little study table and a little chair there, or your own little corner, wherever that is, maybe some of you are comfortable sitting on your bed and studying, it doesn't matter. Maybe some of you like sitting on the floor and studying, it doesn't matter. But what is important is you must choose a quiet, well-lit space, which is like, you know, where you can put your things around and you can sit focusing on what you're doing, right? Don't sit next to the television or, you know, next to the window where every time there's a vehicle passing by, you get distracted. Choose a quiet place wherever, whichever part of your home. And keep that as your regular study place. And when you sit down to study, make sure you have everything around you. That can include your calculator, your, you know, pen, paper, books, a dustbin, your sellotape, whatever is required that will help you for your studies. Instead of, you know, getting up and going 100 times and bringing things back, make sure everything is there next to you before you sit down and study. Eat, sleep, play, watch TV somewhere else, not at your study area, right? So keep both separate. Study place is only for studies, and the other things can take care of itself. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Be gentle with yourself, right? Studying remote is a challenge. Not seeing your friends, not going to class is a big challenge. So it's okay. Be nice to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Pamper yourself once in a while. That's okay. Don't set too many expectations of your own self, right? So take it and treat yourself well, right? And be consistent and do things regularly. I told this in the beginning. Every day, little bit, but do it continuously. There, you're going to ace it, right? You're going to be successful. Keep your activities varied. Alternate between using computer and doing assignments. Don't sit in front of the computer throughout the morning, right? Sit in front of the computer for some time, take a break, come back, get down to do your assignments, all right? Finish your assignment, then come back and do something. So try to balance everything together instead of like, you know, pushing and cramming up things together. Regarding printouts and other things, there, because it's online, you may have to take a lot of printouts. Print out whatever is necessary and appropriate. The rest, draw. The rest, you write. Use your hand. Give your hand some exercise. Give your brain some exercise. Get up and move around instead of just standing like and taking printouts, and it's convenient, right? So when you actually write, you remember better. Practice physical activity. Now, these are some WHO recommendations, especially during COVID outbreak. What they suggest is to keep yourself physically active and healthy. What you can do is walk up and down the stairs. If you have stairs in your home, walk up and down. That will help you. All right. Do some stretching exercise. You would have noticed continuously sitting on the chair, you'll have a catch or a pain after some time and you feel numb, right? So please start some stretching exercise. Dance to music for a few minutes. Why not? Put on some music and shut the door and just be yourself, you know, just dance and let all your energy out, right? Seek more ideas and resources online. If you like something, if you love something, or you have a hobby or passion towards something, explore and find out and work on it, right? Very important. Also keep your place ventilated. It's very important. You know, we say that although COVID is from the air, once in a while we need to open our windows and let some fresh air in. Otherwise we would feel very suffocated and it's unhealthy for us. Avoid chips and all, you know, once in a while it's okay, but regularly, not good for you, not good for your body and mind. Junk food, right? So eat a balanced diet. Avoid as much as possible bakery items and Coke and all those colas and other things. So stick to home food, which will help you remain healthy. And most importantly, which is something lacking, again, socializing. Quarantine does not mean socially cut off. Of course, physically we can't meet people, right? But be connected with your family, be connected with your cousins, be connected with elderly people in your, you know, family through Zoom calls or whatever. We have all these options now. Call them up, chat to them, talk to them, listen to them. This is one way. Your friends, that's so important. Every, I won't say every day, but once in 3 days, 4 days, organize a small Zoom call with your friends, and get talking to them, because you would be doing that in school otherwise, which is what you're missing out on. So parents who are listening to this, please encourage your children once in a while to interact and be connected with their friends. Don't be too harsh on them during this time. All right. So this is one thing, and I would like to share one more slide video with you. It's called Scientific Tips to Study. I'll just play the video for you. It's self-explanatory, but these are some tips that you can keep in mind while you plan your study sessions. All right. Yes.
Time for school, and it's no surprise that many of us are determined to study smarter instead of longer. But which study tips and tricks actually work scientifically and can help you get those perfect grades? First up, research shows that study sessions are most effective in small, short chunks. Instead of cramming in a 10-hour study session, it's much more effective to spread it out into 20, 30-minute sessions over a few weeks. This is because your brain is better at encoding information into the synapses in short, repeated sessions as opposed to one large one. And this is why even learning different skills, whether it's swimming, tennis, or a singing lesson, often follows this same format. And while cramming and pulling all-nighters may be a ritual, it turns out that this is linked to the lowest grades. After prolonged nocturnal study sessions, reasoning and memory may be negatively affected for up to 4 whole days. Instead, setting up specific times in a day or during the week just to study primes your brain by creating a routine, and over time, studying actually becomes easier as your brain is trained to learn in those moments. And while many of us spend hours passively rereading our notes or highlighting a textbook, studies have shown this to be ineffective. It doesn't improve your understanding of topics, nor does it link key concepts together. It can even be detrimental as it draws your attention to less important information. Flashcards, on the other hand, are proven to be excellent memory reinforcement tools, whether during your scheduled study times or during off times like a bus ride home. It also helps to have a specific goal for each study session. Instead of aimlessly studying, pick one aspect you'll focus on, whether it's balancing chemical equations or learning how to conjugate French verbs. If you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. In studies where individuals were asked to learn a passage, and then half were told that they would be tested on the material while the other half were told they would have to teach it to other students, participants expecting to teach it did much better at understanding the main points. When you're expecting to teach, your brain organizes the information in a more logical, coherent structure. Of course, practice, practice, practice. Not only do practice tests put your brain in the environment, but even if you make mistakes, they help identify gaps in your knowledge. Practice tests have also been shown to increase confidence, thereby leading to better performance. So, where should you be studying? Research shows that having a designated sacred spot for study that's well equipped with every tool you might need is best. Just like setting times, this primes your brain for studying. Have an awesome study playlist? Not so fast. While some studies have shown that certain types of classical music can help improve concentration, a recent study has shown that learning with rhythmic background noise can be detrimental to focus, and those not using music fared much better. And if you haven't already, put away your phone. This is a no-brainer, but your texts and social media notifications severely decrease concentration.
So moving on to the next part of the program, I would be sharing some simple study techniques which will help you while you're sitting down to study. These are traditional methods, and of course we are improvising based on our current situation, but some things that will stand the test of time, and these are proven methods of study, right? So one is what we call as SQ3R. What does it mean? SQ3Rs. First of all, survey. When you sit down to study, have an idea about what you want to do. So when we say a survey, a general survey, right? You do a general survey of what you want, the subject you want. When you narrow down to the lesson you want, a general survey. Then we move on to what is called as question. Okay, form a few questions based on what you're reading or what you want to do. Frame a few questions, and then what you can do is read. All right. So survey, question, read the material. The next R stands for recite. Recite is nothing but repeating what you read. All right. You read something, you recite it in your mind or loudly, whatever you want to choose. And then the next R that we say is review. All right. So very important. We call it the SQ3R. Survey, question, read, recite and review what you have done. When you get into this habit of learning something, you tend to remember things better. We call it the SQ3R. Then there is something called as PQRST, as simple as the alphabets, but what does it mean? Again, P stands for preview. What do we do when we take out a newspaper? What do? We don't start reading straight away. We skim through it. We run through the whole paper. Then you pick up what you think is interesting to you, what you like. So same thing with your studies also. Look through what you want. When you figure out what you really want to start doing, what is important, pick it up and then preview. Then we say what is question, read, summarize and test yourself. Probably after you read, you ask yourself, is this what I read? Is this what it is? Try to recollect it. Okay, that's a good way and a good practice. So we call it the PQRST. Then we have what is called as the fast revision technique. Fast revision technique does not mean reading fast and finishing things, right? That never works out. What we mean here is take a topic, do a daily revision. Okay, thoroughly. If you're spending 1 hour on a topic, spend that 1 hour, move to another subject or whatever, forget about it. Till a week later, you revisit this lesson, do a weekly revision and then a monthly revision, and you will be an expert in that subject. What we tend to do, we do it, but we don't do it wholeheartedly. We do little here, little there, what we want, what we don't want, we leave out. And then when we come back later, we don't remember. But what I would say is do it thoroughly, come back to it a week later, if necessary a month later. We call it the FRT or the fast revision technique. Then there's something called as, mind mapping. What is mind mapping? What is the most important topic? You put it in the center of a page. It's in your notebook. You put the main topic in the center of the page, and from that you draw, lines, which actually ends up looking like your nerves, the nerve endings or the veins that go out of your brain, right? So basically what we're doing is from that topic, what are the different ideas? From that idea, what are few other ideas? So it's like connected one to the other, but the main topic is in the center. Now, mind mapping will help you again to revise during your exams, especially just before your exams, a very critical topic. You just have to look at this map, all right? And everything comes back to your mind because the keywords are there, all right? The main topic, the keywords, from the keywords, subtopics, and that's how it looks actually like the brain, all right? Mapping of the brain and how your brain is aligned, right? So that is one thing that you can keep in mind. Then speed counting will help. Sometimes once in a while practice, counting 1 to 100, 100 backwards, A to Z. Then you say A1, B2, C3, D4, practice. These are some things which will help you in your memory retention. Always remember, you can always remember if you never forget. What are some things that you need to keep in mind during your study time? Eat right, eat healthy, sleep enough, learn something new, exercise, teach and share. Again, research has shown and proven that every time you teach somebody, you learn better. So maybe it's okay once in a while to take that phone and start explaining a lesson to your friend, if your friend is comfortable doing that, and do it both ways, right? You do it to somebody, you can actually have Zoom meetings. It will be very interesting. Each one of you choose a topic and let's say plan for the week and say, this week I'm going to take a half an hour class on this topic and teach you all something, If your friends are open to the idea, get into it because that's the best way to learn. When you teach, when you share, you learn better. All right. Okay. With that, I would come to the last part. I will tell you what are some things just before your exams to keep in mind. The magic word in exams is not fast, not slow, but consistently and persistently. And that's how you make your own luck, right? This is the most important thing to do. It's not about being too fast with your lessons or being too slow with your lessons, but it's about being consistent and persistent, trying and trying, all right? Have genuine faith in your preparation. Don't leave anything to chance. You must know exactly what is required for each exam. Know your subject. Ask your teachers doubts and questions, very important. Always have an idea what your exam format or question paper format is going to be. Is it going to be multiple choice, short answer, essays, how many questions? Please revisit old question papers. That will really help you past year question papers. You can take the last few years. So you'll have an idea what are the kind of questions that have come, that can come. You can predict. That's a good predictability, and it works well when you follow the previous year's question papers, at least from the last 5 years, right? Remember, it's a good thing if you practice putting around your house here and there, if you're okay and allowed to paste on windows or the back of doors, key facts, certain formulae, especially chemistry, anything related to chemistry or any subject, math formulae, some quotes or examples, stick it here and there so you'll keep remembering and memorizing it. Recite them aloud when you see them. Do past papers, I told you, and identify areas of your own weakness and address them. Maybe you're slow, so try to speed up. Maybe you get distracted. How do you bring your mind back to things? So find out what are the areas that you need to work on. Maybe you're not good at, diagrams or something. So practice in that. Whatever it is, spend some time working on those areas. Become comfortable with the vocabulary used. When we say vocabulary, exam vocabulary, right? There are certain terminologies which we need to be familiar with. And I'm sure your teachers would have done a good job in that, right? And also perfect the speed at which you must work. Your timing is critical. Speed is important in your board exam. So keep that in mind. Read the paper thoroughly. Plan your approach, how you would like to write your paper. Identify the questions you can do immediately. Maybe you're familiar and you find some questions easy. Start with them. But make sure you're questioning and you're writing down the correct question number and thing. Don't work out the answers. Your confidence will build with more difficult questions. As you move from easy to, difficult ones, your confidence also naturally starts building up. So that is another exam technique. Remember these clue words in your exam, what exactly they mean. Define, answer briefly, explain, differentiate, compare. Give scientific reasons, write short notes, describe, give an example of. These are some clue words that can come in your exam. So you must have an idea what it exactly means and what you're expected to do. All right. So brush up on those exam terminologies and vocabulary. And don't dwell on those who can't do. I mean, if you're not familiar with something or you don't find something, you don't spend your time too much on that. Move to the next one. Don't waste your time doing something that you're not aware of, that you're not knowing. All right. So I think with that, I've come to the end of this program. I would like to thank this group for having invited me to give this talk program. And I wish each and every one of you the very best. And I'm sure we can all sail through this together as I started off, right? This is just a disruption in our normal life, but we will all bounce back and we will all get back to where we were. And I'm sure we'll get back to better than where we were. Let that be the hope in everybody's mind. And stay safe, be responsible, and work hard. I think hard work pays off. And above all, I go back to where I started from. Keep God as the center of your life and everything else falls in place. And very soon, in a few months, you'll realize that 10th was nothing. All right. 10th was just another event in your life. It would pass off. So work towards it. All the very best. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, JC teacher, for your wonderful session. Vocation promotion എന്ന വിഷയത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് നമ്മളോട് സംസാരിക്കുവാൻ മണ്ഡ്യ രൂപതയുടെ ഇടയൻ അഭിവന്യ മാർ സെബാസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഇടയന്തർ പിതാവിനെ ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു. ഈ വർഷം പ്രോഗ്രാമുകളൊക്കെ ഓൺലൈൻ ആണെങ്കിലും പിതാവ് ഓരോ കാര്യങ്ങളിലും നമ്മുടെ CML ടീമിന്റെ കൂടെ നിന്ന് വളരെ നമുക്ക് ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും പ്രചോദനമാകുന്ന രീതിയിലാണ് പിതാവ് ഓരോ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റി ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ വൊക്കേഷൻ പ്രൊമോഷനെ കുറിച്ചും സംസാരിക്കണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ പിതാവ് വളരെ സന്തോഷത്തോടെ അത് ഏറ്റെടുക്കുകയും നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ഓരോ വൊക്കേഷനുകൾ തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കുവാനുള്ള പ്രചോദനമായി നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികളോട് സംസാരിക്കുന്നതുമാണ്. അഭിവന്യ പിതാവിനെ ഏറെ സ്നേഹത്തോടെ ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിലേക്ക്, ഈ സെഷനിലേക്ക് വെൽക്കം ചെയ്യുന്നു.
dear members of the CML, Cherupushpa Mission League, I was asked by the organizers to talk to you about an important point in our life. Vocation. God calling us. You know, every child, every human person, and especially people in your age, the teenagers, one thing you want to hear, you ask other person, do you love me? And when other person says, I love you very much, you're so dear to me, your face brightens up. You become so glad, and if you're a teenager, if you're an youngster, you are so excited, you think the whole world is with you. I love you very much. That's the important thing. Now let's take a step back. Jesus, our master, asking us. Jesus is asking us, do you love me? And he asked his disciples, do you love me? And they said, yes, Lord, we love you. And today he asks us the same question. Do you love me? And you say, Lord, I am. I love you very much because ever since childhood I know you. I studied you in the catechism classes. I received with so much devotion in my heart at the Holy Communion. And Lord, I see you. I say the rosary. And what is special? I am part of the CML, and I love you very much. I worship you. That's our answer. Then Jesus would turn around and ask you and me, if you are loving me, can you do me a favor? Lord, what can we do for you? Because you are our master and our Lord. Jesus will tell you, can you come and follow me in my footsteps? Just the way I lived in Nazareth, the way I loved the people. I broke the bread, forgave sinners, and anointed people. Can you do that for me? Now look at the people Jesus loved in his life. Beautiful things, He loved the tax collectors and the sinners, the prostitutes, and the abandoned ones, Come back to our own situations in Karnataka. What are these kind of people? These are the people, those who, women or men, those who sell their bodies to make a living. It could be transgenders. In our context, it could be HIV/AIDS patients. They could be prisoners. Let's think about the beggars. And all of you have seen physically and mentally handicapped children and elderly destitute. People, those who are hungry, you see them, so many children all over the world dying out of hunger. Jesus showed a special care for them. And you know what the gospel is telling us, the New Testament? He's no more physically present with us today. He's no more physically present with us. There's a beautiful story about a group of army people. They're traveling through France after the Second World War. The war is won and they are so jubilant, walking along, singing songs. By noontime, they arrived near a small church, a village church, broken down because of bombing. And many of these people, Christians, and the Catholics, they said, why don't we go inside? They went inside. And you know what they saw? The whole thing is broken down. The pews are broken down. The altar is broken down. And they found a statue of Jesus, big statue, stretching out the arms, broken down in the church. And since they had nothing to do, and very interesting, they went round and collected all the various parts of the statue. And in their bag, they had a glue. And they began to put the glue on the statue. Finally, they got it right, except there's a problem. There are no hands. And it is time for them to go away from the village. And there is a beautiful thing underneath. He has no hands. You are his hands. Think about that for a moment. He has no hands. He has no physical hands. You are his hands. My youngsters, my children, today we are Jesus' hands. Let's think about our country. You know, India, we are going through a pandemic, Corona. And for you, it has been a very unfortunate time. You have been shut in. You have been inside the house. No schools, no catechism classes, no churches, no big laughter, no gatherings, weddings, all these things are happening. And being children and youngsters, you may not be having able to go for, even for the burial. Think about our country. It's the largest, second largest country as far as the population is concerned. And when you travel here in Karnataka or in North India, you begin to realize many of the people are illiterate. Many of them do not have a house of their own. They don't have. They are beaten up. You know, in a village where we walk, there may be village well. And that village well is the only source of water. And if you come and draw water from that well, you are beaten up because you don't belong to the same caste. You know, think about many instances, you know. People sometimes fall in love. Youngsters. They are too innocent. And they begin to realize that, you know, he is a lower caste and she is a higher caste. The village people come to know. And you know the sad thing? They are sometimes killed. And this is the country in which we live. Many people looking for help, either to generate some income, to receive education, to have the knowledge. And the deepest of their hearts, they want to know the Deva, Yeshu, Jesus, who redeems them. Then you may ask, why? Why should I go? I am here, I love my parents, I care for them, and you know, I don't mind being here doing something. I do the social work, and I can go to the hospital and help people. I can take a tuition and so on and so forth. You may ask Jesus, Jesus, why are you calling me? Why do you want me to go and work with them? There's a simple answer in the Acts of the Apostles, and that's very powerful. My children, very powerful. Saul, a Pharisee by nature, well-learned man, well-learned, got a command to persecute the Christians, and story tells us he was going to Damascus, full of anger about this new faith and Jesus. And on the way, something strikes him down. Something strikes him. And he is on the road, fallen down. And there was a voice calling him, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And Saul said, who are you? Who are you? And he said, Jesus of Nazareth. Saul was not persecuting Jesus of Nazareth. Saul was persecuting Christians. He said, Master, I don't persecute you. I persecute people, those who say that you are God. And Jesus said, you know, Saul, whenever you persecute many brothers and sisters, any of them, you are persecuting me. So that's the crux. India, Africa, Asian countries, wherever people suffer, it is Jesus who suffers. And I want you to take this deep in your heart. Deep in your heart. My faith is in not Jesus alone. My faith is in the mystical body of Jesus. It means people in the whole world, wherever people are suffering, wherever people are broken down, wherever children are raped, wherever people are abused, wherever people are beaten up, wherever people are being killed, it is Jesus who suffers. And that Jesus is asking me, can you come and help me? Molly, Susan, John, Andrew, Aaron, Joshua, can you come and help me? Can you come and follow me? And why do you say that? Jesus is asking. You are doing well at school. I like you very much. Can you come and become a priest? A missionary? A nun, a religious nun? Or a brother? Or a member of the secular institute? And so my brothers and sisters, those who suffer, can you love them? Can you teach them? Can you walk with them? And if life demands, die for them. Rani Maria, working for people, those who are unjustly paid, teaching them, you deserve justice. What was the price? Finally, she had to pay life. Life broken down, just like Jesus. The blood oozing out. And Jesus says, my daughter, you are not doing this for these people. You are doing it for me. Another beautiful example, some of you come from the palace side. You talk about blessed Kunyachan, who lived in Ramapuram. Short man, very short guy. Was not feeling well. Came back to his own home parish. Didn't know what was God's will. But finally found God's will. In that parish, there is a large Dalit Christians. We should not call them Dalit Christians because we brand them because they were recently baptized. Pure dirt houses are. No self-esteem. Felt that they are second-class citizens. Didn't know. They didn't have the proper clothing to come to the church and all. This man after mass would go down to them. You know what he does? He goes to the kitchen. Boil an egg. Take that in a small thing and takes it for lunch because these people do not have anything to give for him for lunch. Would go down there and teach catechism and be with them and tell them that God loves them. That is not only for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, the whole of his life. He worked for them. And so what happens? He became a servant for them. And today, one day, the Holy Father might raise him to the altar to become our saint. And these are the examples in front of us. We have so many of them. Think about Father Damien working among the lepers in Morocco. And these kind of people, they have given their life. Or even, Maximilian Kolbe, standing in the line, innocent man, but somebody is being to be shot. Somebody is being taken to be shot. And that man was crying, He said, I have wife and children. Maximilian Kolbe said, I am willing to die for him. Maximilian Kolbe didn't know this guy. But he knew the Lord. He knew Jesus. And that was a driving force now. Today Jesus is asking you, can you come and can you help me? And you may ask the Bishop Sebastian, what do you want us to do? I want you to do two things. What is number one? Saint Teresa of Lisieux once said, you should ask the Lord, Lord, what do you want me to do? We may have all the ideas in the world, that I would like to be a pilot. I like to be a nurse and help my family. I like to be, so and so, a farmer, a pharmacist, whatever that may be. We all have these dreams because the world tells us, keep this dream going. But at night when you pray, you ask him, Lord, what do you want me to do? And Saint Teresa of Lisieux tells us, the Lord will tell you. And what will be the answer? the answer will be this, just like Mary in Cana. Mary was there and, the jars were empty, the wine jars were empty. And when I told the Lord, son, do something for them. Mary came back and told the servants, do as he tells you. Do as he tells you. And then what happened? Full of joy, full of merriment, full of peace. If you have a seed of that vocation within you, talk to your parish priest. Talk to the sister in the convent. God is calling me. And I am sure they will help you out, find this out. I would like to say personally, I left home when I was 16 years old. I am from Archdiocese of Ernakulam Angamali. And when I went for vocation camp, the desire was to be helpful. To be helpful. And nothing was clear. But I felt that I can do something for the Lord because He has no hands, He has no feet. And my desire was to help the poor. And I must tell you very honestly, in all of my life, wherever I traveled and wherever I did ministry, I was able to be in touch with some of the most deserving people in the world. Beggars, transgenders, prostitutes, people from broken homes, children those who have been abused. God is waiting for you. God loves you very much. And He wants you to join in His ministry. Can we say, I dedicate my life to you, Lord? I don't have the courage, Lord. The life is very difficult. It remains a celibate. Obedience is there. Poverty is there. And sometimes ridiculed by people. But give me the courage. Give me the courage. I want to wish you all the best for listening to me. And I know in Mandya and other places, Beltangadi, Padravadi, CML is very strong. I love you very much. You are dear to my heart. You are youngsters and you are looking for a bright future. I want to tell you, with Jesus, there is a beautiful future. He holds your hands and He will guide you. He will not abandon you. He will take you to the Red Sea, the desert, to the promised land where we will be happy and fulfilled. May God bless you. May Saint Teresa of Lisieux pray for us. Blessed Kunyachan pray for us. And all the people, those who have gone before us, thousands and thousands of priests and sisters, those who lived and worked in difficult situations and gave their lives for God. May God bless you. May your journeys be safe. And may God guide you into the right direction. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Pidave, for your inspiring session. അടുത്തതായി നന്ദി പറയുവാനായി ഈ വർഷത്തെ വേർഡ് ഓഫ് ഗോഡ് കോർഡിനേറ്റർ ലീജ ടീച്ചറിനെ ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു.
Teach them the statutes and instructions and make them known to them the way they are to go and the things they are to do. Exodus 18:20. We, the CML team, got inspired to follow this verse by enabling this training session to you, the 10th standard students today on personality development. I express my heartfelt thanks to His Excellence Ma Sebastian Ediandarat, the Bishop of Mandya Eparchy, for his wholehearted support. He was very thrilled and happy to know about this training activity and agreed immediately to give a vocational promotional talk to our students. Through his talk today, he helped to sow the seeds of vocation among you all students and make you taste the love of the Lord. I sincerely thank the Director, Father Benny Asrekunnal, Joint Director Sisters Anila SKD for their support in organizing and inaugurating the training today. They all have been very passionate in sharing the vision of CML and to motivate the younger missionaries of today towards Jesus through the CML motto, love, sacrifice, service and suffering. I would like to thank the office bearers of the CML, President Joshi George, Secretary Jomin Philip and rest of all the team members and foreign coordinators for their seamless effort in having this training conducted today. I would like to thank the trainer for the day, JC George, wholeheartedly, who is extremely talented and has been successful in presenting the content and implanting in every student so that it helps them to be successful in their life. She is a person who makes her programs lively and interactive through experimental learning. Thank you, Madam, for having accepted our request amidst of this COVID situation and busy schedule. I am extremely grateful while I thank Minu Babu, Headmistress of St. Joseph Church, Vapusapalya, as she was there all through amidst of all her schedule, helping us in recording the training content for the day. I would like to thank Father Shinto and team for providing the logo studio for recording the training content. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Jason Papajan sir, for making this interesting presentation by compiling all videos and getting it uploaded in YouTube today. Thank you all students who were a part of prayer song from Mary Mata Church, Vijayanagar, and for the anthem from St. Joseph Church, Vapusapalya, for your presence in this program today. Last but not the least, I would thank all you students and all your parish priests who ensured that you all attended this training for personality development today. Thank you.
അടുത്തതായി മിഷൻ ആന്തം. എല്ലാവരും എഴുന്നേറ്റ് അറ്റൻഷനായിട്ട് നിൽക്കുക. മിഷൻ ആന്തത്തിനായി സെന്റ് ജോസഫ് ചർച്ച് ബാബുസാഹിബ് പാളിയ ടീമിനെ ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു.
നിൻ മക്കളിൽ ആശഭൂവനമേ നിൻ ശാന്തി നിൻ കൈകളിൽ സോദരരെ കൈകോർത്ത് മുന്നേറുവിൻ സത്യകാഹളം മുഴക്കി മുന്നേറുവിൻ ചെമ്മഞ്ഞ കൊടി പിടിക്കും കൈകൾ ക്രിസ്തുവിനായി പണിയെടുക്കും കൈകൾ വയലുകളെ വിളഞ്ഞ വയലുകളെ വിളവെടുക്കുവാൻ ഞങ്ങൾ അണിനിരക്കുന്നു സ്നേഹവും ത്യാഗവും നുകർന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ സേവനത്തിൻ ദൂതരായി വരുന്നിതാ കരകളും തിരകളും കടന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ സുവിശേഷ ദൂതരായി വരുന്നിതാ ഭാരതമേ നിൻ രക്ഷ നിൻ മക്കളിൽ ആശഭൂവനമേ നിൻ ശാന്തി നിൻ കൈകളിൽ സോദരരെ കൈകോർത്ത് മുന്നേറുവിൻ സത്യകാഹളം മുഴക്കി മുന്നേറുവിൻ